Welcome, my esteemed guests, to AniMay17, your daily dose of anime every day in May. Today, let us gaze upon the otherworldly beauty of the tale of Princess Kaguya. If you're a real Japanese folktale buff or played the original Okami, then you may be familiar with the tale of the bamboo cutter, a 10th century Japanese folktale. Apparently, the oldest surviving Japanese prose narrative, it's a pretty famous story about a humble bamboo cutter and the mysterious child that was gifted to him. It's a well-revered tale. But how closely did Studio Ghibli adhere to this 1,000-year-old story? And did they spice it up enough to be enjoyable for modern audiences? Well, to be expected, Princess Kaguya stays very true to its ancient roots, and upon later research is almost beat for beat like the oldest surviving text. Upon discovering a girl inside a glowing bamboo shoot, an elderly bamboo cutter and his wife raise the little princess. Later, the man discovers gold and riches inside his bamboo, and takes it as a sign to raise his foster daughter in the lap of luxury as a true princess. The young girl grows older at an unnatural rate and is quickly proficient at everything she tries. It's these early scenes where the film expands the most on the tried-and-true story. Before Kaguya is properly named in the capital, she's referred to as Little Bamboo or Princess by her father. She grows up in the countryside and lives happily, playing with the village boys and having adventures in nature. She begins to form a relationship with a young lad named Sutamaru, but is whisked away to the capital to the new palace built by her foster father. There, she's taught how to be a proper princess and live amongst high society. Here the story treats Kaguya like an audience surrogate, and we see her resist these changes at every turn, questioning the societal norms of ancient Japanese royalty. This is a nice bit of characterization and fleshes out Kaguya from simply being a perfect all-knowing being like she is in the original tale. She's then met by all manner of suitors, from commoners to high officials to even the emperor himself, but she turns them all away or challenges them to impossible tasks. I loved how in this interpretation Kaguya flips the script on her suitors for comparing her beauty to unobtainable treasures by asking them to retrieve the artifact each one compared her to. In my opinion, this is even more clever than suggesting the artifacts herself like she does in the original. This makes Kaguya more sympathetic and outlines how pompous and fake her suitors' intentions really are. However, they do elaborate on one of the suitor's trials, where, instead of actually retrieving the object he described, returned with a humble wildflower and professed his love honestly, promising to take her away to be with nature, something we as the audience totally believe would make her happy. Of course, upon further testing, the guy turns out to be a little superficial when he's tricked into believing Kaguya is a hideous old woman, but cut the dude some slack! Kaguya's been built up to be this unobtainable beauty, so of course he's going to be put off by that trick. And sure, he may not have had the purest of intentions, and comparing her to any old flower to be plucked off the side of the road is kind of a dick move, but as far as this dating game scenario, this dude made a pretty fair attempt and was the most attractive one of the bunch. Anyway, Kaguya has a creepy non-consensual scene with the emperor and returns to the bamboo forest she was raised in, and guess what? Sutamaru and his family are just returning from a 10-year trip. What are the odds? They reconnect, Sutamaru confesses, and they run away together, but turns out Kaguya will have to return to the moon in a number of days, and yeah, she came from the moon. Weren't you keeping up with this story? They have a Ghibli moment and fly into the sky before it seems to have been all a vision to Sutamaru. Isn't that nice? They set up some kind of star-crossed lovers thing that was never meant to be. Isn't Sutamaru such a likable love interest? How about the fact that he barely knows Kaguya from the 6 months they were friends as a child, or better yet, the wife and child he was so ready to leave behind at the drop of a hat when a literal moon goddess is presented in front of him. Yeah, totally not superficial like that other suitor who had never even seen her real face. Why you gotta hold Kaguya's looks against her? Of course she's pretty, that's one of her key attributes. I thought it was totally hypocritical and added nothing to the plot. If they wanted to expand on the story, then fix the ending. So, a big cloud comes down and the heavenly host has come to collect. Kaguya can't resist and goes with them, but not before a tearful goodbye and a slight head turn to suggest that she may have memories of her time on Earth. The end. Now, what do you suppose is the takeaway from this epic tale? The original story sees Princess Moonlight writing a heartfelt letter to the Emperor. You know, the guy who tried to date rape her. And get this, included was a vial of immortality. To the friggin' Emperor! Not her ailing foster parents. The Emperor! Then the dude is freaked out by it and has the elixir burned on the summit at Mount Fuji, and that's why sometimes it looks like Mount Fuji is smoky or something? I don't know. The story has no moral, and Princess Moonlight is just a biatch to all her suitors because she can, and it's hilarious to see how each one fails at her impossible requests. Great story. 10 out of 10. The tale of Princess Kaguya at least makes the princess a likable and sympathetic character, but is forced back to the moon because that's how the story ends. Maybe you can glean from the language in the ending about how important sadness is to appreciate happiness, and that the Earth has it way better than the moon or land of the gods, etc. And we should make the most out of our time on this planet, yada yada yada. Ultimately, you have a story that begins arbitrarily and ends arbitrarily, with a lot of cute Ghibli moments in between, and that's what I want the takeaway from this film to be, because the majority of it was a fun and emotional experience with superb art direction and pacing. Even without Master Miyazaki at the helm, the studio really captures that magic in the expressive animation and believable characters. The choice of adopting a Japanese watercolor aesthetic was a brilliant decision, and not only separates it from most animated films, but really ties it together thematically to its ancient roots. Some of the scenes look straight out of a Hokusai brushwork painting, and the moments of intensity are captured in a frantic display to great effect. The film looks gorgeous, and I assumed it was also a cost-effective method, but turns out Kaguya had one of the highest budgets in the studio's history. Still doesn't match the look of Spirited Away, but that's just my opinion. No matter how much I rag on the source material, The Tale of Princess Kaguya is a wonderful and faithful adaptation of a historically significant story. I definitely recommend it to anyone interested in the boundaries of animation, or those seeking a heartfelt story even if it seems to end a bit anticlimactically. The film captures the magic that I feel is usually lost in non-Miyazaki-directed works, and gives me high hopes for the studio's continued growth and future releases. Now don't go flying off to the moon just yet. There's plenty more AniMay17 to get through, so I'll see you tomorrow.